Transfer yourself into a monster. Today we're going to talk about transferring yourself into a monster from the Jordan Peterson motivation lessons. So let's start it. The course was named as Personality and its Modifications. You may consider that a restatement of the concept of being and becoming. In my opinion, you're exactly that. For whatever reason, you are a being that is both what you are and what you're changing into. Along with that, there is a guideline that says you shouldn't give up who you could be in favor of who you are. Therefore, it is preferable to transform into a positive direction, if you have the option before transforming in positive direction and maintaining your current position. So who are you? The thing that changes who you are is you. However, on top of that, you're the thing that isn't, the thing that will become, and you need to rank things that will change higher than the things that will remain. This indicates that you must also give yourself freedom to let go of the behaviors and persons that you may be pathologically connected to about yourself. In addition, you need to allow yourself to let go of the ways you think about all of those things, which feels more like burning. And while you can claim, I'm not sure what I should leave behind, but the truth is, that's a lie. You're aware of some items you should have to leave behind. If you simply ask yourself this question, you will immediately be able to name 100 silly behaviors that you are engaging in but could easily stop doing. Some of them might be something you have no idea you could stop doing. It's like, well, it's okay, leave those alone for the time being, but there are a number of things you could stop doing, which would improve your life. Everything that stresses you out or angers you is the same as everything else that has ever angered you. Your horrible little soul is where it is waiting to appear in some unexpected expression in response to all of those things that have offended you, in which you have never dealt with. And so, you enter there at your own risk, because if you're the one that pokes around there, you will be showered with all of that. It will very certainly come out almost uncontrollably before you can control it. What is the purpose of the game you're playing, and the entire universe which you're constantly neglecting? Is the solution to that? Why do you get a poor grade while you're trying your best in class? Did I receive a C-? It is what, and you're totally blank about the answers. Do you not know what you believe to be true? Are you really not who you claim to be? Do you not put in enough effort? Are your values not adequately organized? Do you waste time? Do you have the wrong field of study? Is your life being built in a very unsuitable manner? Are you doing what your parents ask you to do because you're mad at them for it? Despite of the thing that they spend $25,000 a year for your education, you're only running at 40%. Is it because you want to annoy them? You know, it's pretty obvious that life has its share of hardships. That much is true. You might even say definitely that most of life is a rat's nest of suffering. And I think you could certainly make a convincing case for it. Then again, there is a counter question. What if you wanted to make it as uncomfortable as possible? Yeah, then what next? Then how would that be? And I wonder whether that's a lot of misery, because unneeded suffering is what actually drags you down. I would guess that most of that suffering will go. It's like, well, somebody has cancer, that just seems awful. However, you can't really say that if only we had done something differently, it wouldn't have happened. However, you may always pause and consider whether what you're doing is indeed necessary when someone is cruelly hurting you, or perhaps even when you're doing it yourself. Is this just an unnecessary addition to life's miseries? This is what demoralizes people. So even in your own life, if you're simply experiencing unavoidable sorrow rather than self-created misery, then maybe you can manage that. And as you fully realize you're capable of surviving, you might be able to handle it without developing an unrecoverable corrupt nature. The conclusion would therefore be that, indeed, existence is a rat's nest of suffering and possibly lacks a higher purpose. We could say that when we're feeling extremely depressed, but it still raises the question of how good you could have made something if you didn't want to make it worse. The least acceptable response is, well, that might be misery, but maybe not hell. And I believe you're right. And that remark, in my opinion, is the most pessimistic one that could be imagined. Your life could be tragic, but not hell. That would be the worst-case scenario in the worst-case scenario of all possible worlds. And that's far preferable to hell, right? Do you believe I could provide a picture of the difference for you? You're standing beside your mother's bedside. That's tragic, to be sure. I'll give you another example. You are dismissed, and on the deathbed of your mother, you and your idiotic siblings are fighting. That is, after all, the distinction between tragedy and hell, and you might learn to cope with the first situation. You might even strengthen your bonds with your family. Nobody can stand it if you leave a position like that, sick of yourself and everything else as well. And, tragic events frequently bring out the dragon people. It happens because people are under a lot of stress and lack the energy to repress the things they haven't dealt with, which causes all of their bitterness to come out in the open. So, man, take this seriously. That's a hard lesson to learn, but it serves as a wonderful benchmark for assessing how well you've adapted to your environment and your relationship with your siblings. Could you handle it if everyone was crowded around the bed of a loved one who was dying? If the response is no, you should probably get your life together since it will eventually happen, and you should be the one who is present and able to handle it appropriately. After that, you might discover that it isn't the kind of thing that will make you lose faith in life. And I've witnessed each of those instances myself. They are both dreadfully, murderously, and terrible situations. And then they're in the opposite location where families have experienced disgusting things. And they band together, repair their lifeboat, and set sail. So that certainly seems much better. What do you exactly think you are? You're not the problem or the solution. Perhaps you're the thing that faces a challenge, and when you see even more clearly that the challenge isn't only a challenge but also an opportunity, are you really that certain that this is a problem? Is that the only angle you have available to you, or is this a chance? And perhaps you are in the order, or perhaps you are in the chaos, but they can turn against you. Perhaps you're not supposed to be in either of those places. Rather, you should be in the middle. You see, when you're in the midst of chaos and have no idea what the hell is going on, that is when you must rediscover the principles that have guided humanity throughout time. And you need to find out, for instance, when I work with clients who have post-traumatic stress disorder and they frequently come into contact with a dangerous person, they need to relearn what good and evil are because without it, they have no perspective. They are stuck. They reason that there must be evil in the world because a monster won't mess with anything but another monster. And you might react, well, I don't want to turn myself into a monster. It's as though you have no option. Either you are a monster with no power or you are a monster with considerable power. There are only two alternatives available to you, to be weak or to be strong. There is no non-monster alternative. And by strong, I don't mean authoritarian, oppressive strength. I'm referring to strength that would be required to function during a funeral, and that would be monstrous. And that's what you have to rediscover when things are hectic. You want to be safe, but that is not going to happen. Forget that. Since you won't be safe, you'll need to be meta-safe, and it's far better because it means that even when you're not safe, you can still deal with risk. Okay, so that takes care of the issue, and it might even be a better solution than staying in your burrow will keep you safe. However, if you are able to face danger, you can go anywhere and have an experience, and perhaps that's what you need to do. Go on an adventure so that you don't even care about safety, because that is so exciting. Assuming we made you completely safe, all you had to do was eat cakes and worry about the survival of the species. How would you act? You would destroy everything, just give yourself something stimulating and difficult to complete, then you don't desire safety. It's quite different thing to desire to be able to handle risk. Additionally, what occurs makes you stronger. You never again get to be safe, and it ends up being a better deal. Let's end today's video here. See you in the next video, and if you found this video interesting, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.